Hello? Okay. Can you all hear me? Yeah, great. Morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good, yeah, and apologize for those who don't have seats, but we'll make this entertaining so that you don't have to worry about it being bored, right? When Daisy was sharing just now, I received an SMS from someone saying, hey, great news on this social workers development. And I was asking what's it about, and I just realized it was in today's paper. The National Career Framework for Social Workers that's launched yesterday. So you all are in very exciting times, right, for us to have this actual framework launched by the different ministries coming together, especially MSF and MOH, to set a pathway for us. So for folks who are like for yourself as well, who are moving from a different sector into the social services sector, this framework will create a pathway for you and give you the opportunities to grow, right? I've been in the field for about 15 years now. I started off at SINDA, the Singapore Indian Development Association, for 5 years, and then after that moved on to Tai Hwa Kwan because of the opportunities that were being presented. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, see, I really didn't want to use the mic again. All right. And I moved on to Tai Hwa Kwan Family Service Center under the Moral Charities, of course. I've been at Bukit Panjang for the last 10 years, right? Opportunities at both these agencies have been marvelous. Learning from the ground, what our families go through, what our countrymen, if you want to say, go through, has been remarkable. One of the things that I've always shared with my supervisees or newbies who come into the field is the way the clients or your families come in and how they make you and keep you humbled. Imagine someone coming in to your doors into your center, and they have just walked in and they say, I need to speak to a social worker. You go in, you sit down, and the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes, they have shared with you completely their concerns and their problems. And they do it with someone who's a complete stranger, right? You are sitting there, you don't know this person at all, you're not even sure whether you're going to ever see this person, but they've come there and they've unburdened themselves with you. And that is a sense of humbleness that till today, I still have, sometimes hearing some of the situations and all that, I still feel not jaded, and I'm very happy about that, right? So this is a trait that all of you who go into the sector are going to have that knowledge and that know-how, that you're going to be there sitting across from someone for them to share, for them to unburden themselves on their problems, of their situations, and for them to then hear from you options on how they can move forward. All right? That is something that I think will resonate with you all for a very long time. I do want to share with you all, if some of you are in the mindset that, okay, great, they come in and I can tell them what to do and I can advise them and I can rescue them, this is not the field. All right, okay. I've got very senior practitioners sitting here with me, and they will agree as well here. But this is not a rescue kind of job. All right, you're here to say to them, "I'm here. I want to be able to see how best I can help you, but I see the strength in you. All our families, all our individuals that we work with, they have strengths. All right, and we want to be able to uproot the strengths from them and get them to move on and progress in their life. Social mobility, we want to call it. Yeah? So it's about identifying the strengths and moving on with them along the way. Of course, you are going to have situations where there is no gratitude. Right? Let me just share with you, please do not expect each and every time that someone sees you that they will say, thank you very much, you're my lifesaver, I don't know what I'll do without you. All right? There will be opportunities, of course, for them to say thank you to you, but they may not see it as an opportune time to do that. All right? You also have situations, I will be very frank with you, where they'll look at you and say, you are the lousiest social worker I've ever met. All right? Okay? But that is what they are feeling at that point in time. All right? Don't take it personally. All right? Because you have a role to play and that's what you're doing. Okay, so for example, if someone comes to you and says, I need $200 now because I'm running out of money to buy cigarettes. Yeah, so think about it. If someone comes and says, I'm running out of money to buy milk powder for my child, that's a different issue altogether. Cigarettes, we have to take into consideration, right? But then you become a person of negativity for them, and then that's when you become the lousier social worker, okay? Because you don't give them the cigarette money, all right? So what I want to share is when you come into the field, don't expect that, because I'm a social worker and I'm here to help you, that you are going to be eternally grateful, all right? Your role here is to ensure that whatever you do, whatever you say to the families and to the individuals will help them move on the road of social mobility, break from the cycle of poverty, make them less dependent on resources or the crutch mentality, and get them going. All right? And you're there to hear some of their burdens. Sometimes they do not have anyone to share with, all right? Because they do not know where the community resources might be. So your role is also to work with the community. I have emphasized a little bit about sharing with the individuals and the families, but you have a major role to work with the community at large as well, all right? That is a very important group that you cannot leave behind. So you may have heard from social workers who are your friends or relatives who say, don't worry, social worker, we sit in the office, we've got the aircon, we've got our computer, we've got this, we are very comfortable. But that's not the role of a social worker. We have to be out there in the community, all right? Get out of the armchair mentality, be in the community, understand what's going on in the community as well. And then you bring that strength and that perspective into your office to share with your peers as well as with your families and your individuals, right? I understand later on there's going to be a Q&A, but I won't be able to stay. So I'm going to cut short my chat by about 5 minutes so that you all can ask me any questions if you want to, all right? Okay. So my journey, as I was going along, I also found that I had a niche area that I wanted to work with. And this is not a stereotype because I'm Indian, but my niche area is family violence. All right? So a lot of people always tell me, because you're Indian, that's why you decided to do family violence cases. Not at all, okay? It just became area that I was compelled to work with. I felt pulled towards it, all right? So I do counseling that comes to me from the family court. These are mandatory cases that have been ordered by the judge of the family court for couples or family members who have family violence against one another, and I work with them on counseling them to look at alternatives to violence. A lot of times people say, so you're saying that this person now cannot be with one another because of family violence and whatnot. So I want to share with you all, there's just alternatives to violence. You can still get angry, you can still raise your voice here and there, but it's not, you don't need to do violence against one another, all right? So likewise, when you all are going through your course and you're going through your different modules, or even when you're doing your placement, and this is one of the fantastic programs where you're being placed as well as you're going through the teaching, you have the hands-on right away. You can do your learning and then use it at work, or use what you've learned at work and then go back to class and when a teacher or a lecturer asks you something, you can easily answer that. So this is one of those most fantastic programs. We've always said to UNISIM, we appreciate the fact that they do that. Thank you very much for doing it. It's right here. She's probably going to share later on. And this is where you all can learn on the spot for it, right? So when you go through your course, say be it mental health, be it family violence, be it contemporary issues that are happening, be it youth. I think a couple of weeks ago, Minister had mentioned that they were pumping in about $3 million to enhance the youth sector, at-risk youth sector, to ensure that they are given the capabilities to come out of the risk. These are the areas that you can look at and then develop yourselves. And the pathways that Daisy shared earlier on are something that has been rolled out also very recently, where you can create a specialized area for yourself. All right? I'm thinking that most of you here who want to move this to the sector from this career switch are doing so because you're finding that there is more of a need for you all to be there rather than in your old sector. You're seeing the passion that you want to be able to fulfill also in this new sector of social work, and that's amazing for us. I've been working with PCP candidates for about a good 4 to 5 years now. Taiwan had come on board right from the beginning, and we've been working with them both undergraduate and graduate levels. And it has been a pure joy to work with them because we have so much to learn from them. I've had engineers, accountants, folks who've been in business for good maybe 15, 20 years, engineering students who come in and talk to us about systems. And when you do your courses in social work, there's a sense of general systems, family systems and whatnot. You learn about it, so they understand what we're talking as well. So I would think there's a variety of folks here who are coming from different fields. Please just remember, you have a lot to share with us. We have a lot to learn with you. All right? Please do not think because I do not know anything about the sector, I have nothing to contribute. Not at all. Sometimes folks who come from the IT field help us to enhance our IT technology as well as our own personal development there, and it makes the entire team better for it. All right? So we really have enjoyed, right now currently we have about 3 PCP candidates with us, both in the graduate and undergraduate, and they're doing really well, have assimilated really well. It's also about your wanting and desire of how you want to acclimatize yourself to the center. It is hard work, all right, because you're going to be in school as well as at work at the same time, but because you all have had the experience of being at work, so coming back to work is not a problem, right? It's just managing school, right? And the centers or the areas where you're deployed to usually are very kind in giving you your exam leave, study time, taking some time off to do the work. The teammates, at least in our center, we actually help with information sharing when they're writing their papers. All right? Data may be a different thing because of confidentiality, but we give them some feedback, we give them some input when they're doing their papers, when they're getting ready for their exams and whatnot. I can assure you, not the same questions don't appear for the exams. So if you have someone in the center who has done the exam, say 2-3 months before, you won't get the same question again for your exam. So don't need to ask them about that. But it's very mind inquiring. It's very stimulating. All right, and that's, I think, what we want to be able to get from all of you because of your experience at your workplace, at your new workplace, as well as going to school. All right, so besides sharing with you about the humbleness that I feel every time I see a client, the other area that has always gotten me inquisitive and wanting to stay in the field is I learn something new every day. Right? Even though it's been 15 years, I still learn something new every day, be it from my peers, be it from my families, be it from the sector itself. So if you are with that mindset that, okay, you know, what, 15 years, what is she going to tell us, something new and all that, let me assure you, you will have something new to learn every day being in the field. If you go in with that mindset, this job will not be something that you become dispassionate about. Right? So when I say something new, even yesterday when I was at work, I was talking to Pierre about something and they were saying, oh, did you know that this has happened recently and the new development and whatnot? And I said, no, I didn't even know about it. This MOE, you know, they're having a pilot scheme where they have engaged social workers to be in the schools, right? They're called school welfare officers. So now MOE is also coming in and they're going to try to get social workers to be in the school permanently. So this is something that, you know, every day the sector is growing. People are really looking out for you all. I understand there's 600 over of you here today, and that's an amazing number to have. And knowing that every year it increases, that so many of you want to come into the field, that's again very humbling. Very humbling to know that you all see the benefit of coming into the field as well. Yeah. So I think I'm going to ask for you all to ask questions now, because of time. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free. Where I can answer, I will definitely answer. Where I cannot, I will see what I can do about it. So.
Any questions? I'm sure you have many questions. So,
Yeah.
yes.
How do you mentally prepare yourself such that you don't get psychologically or mentally or emotionally affected by the clients that you see? Thank you.
Great question, wonderful question. My first job, right, I was sharing with you all at Cinda. Within 2 days, an elderly man came in, about my father's age at that time, and said to me, I haven't eaten, I haven't had anything, I know I need food and all that. I started crying on the spot. Because I said, hey, he's like my father, you know, how come he's having this situation? And so I quickly went, I didn't even ask my bosses anything at that time. I just went and got money from my wallet, gave it to him and said, please, uncle, go and eat something first and come back. He did come back drunk. He did come back when I was drunk. And so I was like, oh, okay, what happened? Okay, so this is that situation, experience. All right, experience is going to count for it a lot. Because one of the things you will learn when you go into class is not to be judgmental. All right, your value systems have to be kept at the door, have to be kept in check when you go into the room to see your families or your clients. All right, because you will have a different set of value systems altogether, but we have our social work ethics that we will follow through with. All right, so that in mind, in addition with supervision, right? All the centers that you go to, you will have supervisors who will work with you through your issues, to your concerns. Like for example, when my boss found out about this elderly man and all that, she sat me down and she said, fair enough that you gave him food for, the money for the food, but did you check and see, what is the situation that he didn't have food? Right? Did you check in to see, okay, maybe he decided that the drinking was more important than getting the food, but how is it going to affect his health? Right? So these are the questions that you will probably have to probe and ask. Some of you may think, so inquisitive, so kipo, so many questions and all that. But this is the work of a social worker. And we call it assessment. So we don't say we're doing investigative work, we call it assessments. All right? See how best we can do it. But supervision, knowing that you have to keep in check your value systems when you go in, and definitely having a very nimble body. Your body language also says a lot when you're speaking to your client. So some of them may say, I have dreams about sleeping with my mother. And you go, okay, would you like to carry on and share a little bit more? Rather than go, what do you mean you're talking about that? How can you say you want to sleep with your mother? Right? That's something not possible for you to say. Right? Because you are in the line of being objective about it. Right? But supervision and ensuring that even planning before you go in for the session. A lot of us will sometimes just walk in and say, okay, we'll just take it off the spur. But planning before you go in for the session then keeps you in focus, keeps you in check as well. Yeah, great question, thank you.
Hi, Sharminee.
Yes.
Morning. This is Trisha. Yeah, I have a question because when we were sharing, you mentioned that the clients come in and share their burdens and all that. I'm just have a query whereby, are we expected to provide counseling, and how does the role of a social worker differentiate from the other roles like a counselor or other roles? Thanks.
Very good question as well. Social workers, especially in Singapore, we're very unique. We do provide counseling. But before you do provide the counseling, definitely your competency level will be assessed by your supervisors. They will be saying, okay, whether or not you're in a position to do so. PCP candidates, when they walk in already to the placement where they're doing that, right, you're usually attached with someone. You're attached with a senior, a social worker, maybe even the head of the agency, and that's when you learn. So I can assure you, and Daisy can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they make it very clear to the centers, you can't throw in the candidate right away into counseling. That's not right, that's not appropriate, because you're still learning, but you'll be attached, and you learn as you grow. At least in our center, what we do is we ask the candidate to sit in and observe. right? Permission, of course, given by the clients and the families that you can sit in to observe. So this is how you learn as you go along. The career pathway for social workers in the sense of counseling is your center, whoever gets you, especially if you're hired by them after your course, right? They can provide you with the counseling opportunities. So you can take it either at SSI offers a counseling course, CNC Care and Counseling. Of course, you all decide to do your masters at the private institutes like Monash, Kaplan, and all that. Definitely something it's a benefit. I come from the FSE sector, so Family Service Center. So the counselors and the social workers, they are a little interchangeable. The counselors do casework. So one of the concepts that come is a social worker does casework and counseling. A counselor usually just does counseling. But it really depends on the agency as well. And there are counselors who do casework as well. So again, the pathway, it's kind of tiered for you, and whatever competencies are needed, they will be provided. I wouldn't say that anyone will throw you into the deep end and say, now swim. All right? They will definitely provide you with the relevant support and teachings before you can go in. Yeah?
Okay, I want to ask you, because social workers are human, to be a social worker, to be a qualified social worker, you actually achieve the meaning of life, being happiness in life. But as a human, the number of clients you are visiting from all walks of life, and you will reach a stage that as a human you feel burnout. And would that, if a social worker encounters that period of time, will he or she be like criticized, and how he or she will be able to manage? I mean, without actually, once you're burned out, they'll see that you are not, competency will be affected and all that. So, but the passion is still in the social worker. So how you handle, how he or her handle?
Right. Wonderful question as well. Earlier on, Daisy said something, right? You need a break, take a sabbatical. Yeah. But that's I think you need to be in the sector for 5 years before you can take the sabbatical, right? Burnout can occur within a year or two. Agree with you. We're all human. We go through the same phases. As a social worker, we go through the same phases as someone who may be going through, who's an engineer, who's a doctor, who's a lawyer. We call this the lifespan. That's a module definitely you all will study in class, your lifespan module. But burnout is usually something that is a two-way issue where you would have to share with your supervisor, and your supervisor who's working with you would also notice this. There are signs and symptoms to burnout. For example, if you've been coming to work on time, 8 o'clock every day, and then after the 6 months, you decide you're going to only walk in at 8:30, and when your supervisor asks you, say, "I'm still here. What's the problem?" So signs and symptoms will appear. All right. But the most important thing is to have that open communication, right, with your supervisor, saying, "This is what I'm feeling. This is the area where I'm not ready for something. Can we look at varying the issue?" Right? I mean, I think some of us may still think, and it may still occur in some areas, where it's top down, right? So whatever the boss says, that's the word. That's the law in the center. I want to share with you in the social services is a bit different. We call this parallel processing. What we want to do for our families and our clients, we would also want to do with our employees. All right? We want to be able to, because if our employees are happy and they are able to do their work, then the benefit is for the clients. Because remember, you all are getting into a sector that is client-centric. You're there for the clients. So if you're not going to be happy and you're going to be having angst, it will definitely propagate and come out, and the client can feel it. Clients have sometimes told some of the workers, "Are you okay today? Do you need a timeout?" and the client just, the worker goes, "Hey, why are you asking me that?" "No, because I see you look like you need someone to talk to." Right? And so clients will feel it. I mean, you have friends, you see them sometimes, right? The usually smiley ones come to you for a cup of coffee and you're like, hey, I know something went wrong at work today or at home. What's up? You know? So clients can feel it as well. All right? So it's very important to have that open communication. And sometimes what it is about moving you all around within the same agency. So maybe you have been doing counseling or casework for 6 months or 8 months. Maybe you want to try programs. As what Daisy again mentioned, you don't have to necessarily just be a social worker in an agency. There's so many other areas in the sector that you can work on program development, working, just doing administrative work and all that. And that allows you to then maybe jump back into the thing. But having that open communication with your supervisor is very important. And also the supervisor will be able to find out. Yeah. So all this side all okay, huh? Daisy, you let me know about time, right?
Okay. How about just 2 more questions?
Can do.
Okay, as a social worker, be it a new entrant or someone with a few years of experiences, how do they, what kind of methods or ways do they deal with their burnout?
Oh, okay.
In practice, in real life. And the second question is, how long can a social worker work in terms of dealing with their burnout? As regards retirement age in Singapore currently, how long? That means how long do they work? Can they work? Can they work until when they reach 65 as a social worker?
Okay. I haven't reached that side.
You mean currently there's no one reaching 65 years old and being a social worker?
No, there. But so I'm going to think about it. That second question a bit. Right? Did I talk about burnout a little bit just now? I mean, there's a lot of questions about burnout now, but no. In practice, again, as I mentioned, between you and the organization, discussion, dialogue will take place. There have been situations where unpaid leave has been given so that you can take care of your burnout. There have been situations where the suggestion of you going for counseling, right, to see what are the issues or concerns. You can't have it in your own center because of conflict of interest, and it won't be appropriate, it won't be ethical. So support for you to go for counseling, be it monetary, be it time, be it even suggesting who you can go to, all this the agency can work with you and whatnot. And of course, again, maybe putting you in a different portfolio rather than doing social work so that you can take the time to understand. Of course, one of the areas that they'll look at the end of the period where they've given you the sabbatical or the time off is, are you ready to come back? Some people have decided that after being in the field for 2-3 years, like how you all have now decided that whatever field you're in, now you want to make a switch, that social work is not for them, right? Because of some mindset. See, some of us have experience with social workers, so we say, oh, because I really want to go into the field because of this. I had this experience with a social worker, they do wonderful work. But when they themselves come into the field, they realize, oh, this is not my cup of tea, all right? And you can only do that with some experience in the sector. And that is why this placement while you're studying, it helps you, right? It helps you to get an understanding whether or not also this is really the area I want to be in, especially with the casework and counseling component. Maybe I can do something else in social work, which we were talking about earlier about planning, conceptualization, policy making, advocacy, right? Teaching. So as a social worker, you do so many roles. It doesn't have to necessarily be casework and counseling, right? Then I go to your second question about how long do you think someone can last till before they burn out? Is it okay? That's actually a very subjective question because it really depends on the individual, right? See, we really appreciate the folks who have been in the field for say 30 years or whatnot because of the wisdom they can impart to us, the experiences that they've gone through. Of course, times have changed. What was social work say 10, 20 years ago may not be social work right now.